Hey everybody, this is Eric. This is the first video in a series on how to create an Appcelerator iOS module. So here I am inside of AppceleratorStudio, and I am going to walk through the process of creating a module inside the studio itself, which you'll see is, very easy, but at the same time pretty useless because you don't actually do your development inside the studio for a module. You do it inside of its native editor. So I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm going to show you how to do it through the command line, which you really should get comfortable with if you're going to be programming for iOS or Android for Appcelerator. So with that, let's get started. So I'm going to go up to my file, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a new mobile module project. And really, it's very simple to create one of these. So we just got to type in a name. So let's call this one Eric dash video one, and we'll do this inside of Studio. And we also need to put a module ID. This is a reverse domain notation, as you are, if you're familiar with programming. What that is simply is if you have a website and it's joeblow.com, you want to reverse that and type in com.joeblow. So in this case, I'll put com Eric, and then I'll put some kind of description of what we're doing. So video one dot and studio. And you can actually extend upon those domains. You can have, instead of video one, you'll see the next video, I'll have video two, and so forth. And the .studio says that I created this in Appcelerator Studio. So with that, I'm also going to choose which module I'm trying to build. I'm going to do iOS. And here's my SDK version. It's the latest and greatest as of today. I click on next. Definitely put in version numbers. You put in everything else. So I'm typically just going to put in 0.0 or 1.0.0. My name is Eric, and you can put in additional information if you'd like. So I'm just going to hit here, click finish. And it's going to go through, and you kind of see it's a little bit slow because the IDE is kind of eclipsy, which means that it's very heavy in nature. But with that, we get our basic structure here. And we have a number of folders here that are useful for our module. One is the assets folder, which we would put in things like images, maybe some JavaScript, maybe some HTML files, stuff that we would use inside of our module that we need to link to. Because we can't just bundle it inside the module. We have to actually let the module know where they exist. So it's best to put them in places like this so everybody can access them. Documentation is obviously documentation. An example is kind of a useful file to help explain what kind of API we have. So people can look at the example file and say, okay, this is how I use the module. So just give you an example here. The most kind of important thing here is right in this section here. So let me kind of blow away some of this stuff here, and even down here. Let's get rid of this. And kind of the big stuff here is that this first line here is this is how we use the module inside of Appcelerator. So we're going to create a var instance. We're going to require our new module, which has this reverse domain notation. So you can kind of see here it is. And then once we have that, we can output that, make sure we actually got it, and we can do kind of interesting things. So actually I don't even need this for right now. These are kind of the important things to get the module inside your Appcelerator project. So let me go ahead and save that. Yeah, what happened here? All right, so I don't need to save that. What else we have here is the iPhone folder, and this is where a lot of obviously the development happens. And rather than explain it inside of this, Appcelerator Studio, it makes kind of more sense to go to command line and to utilize these different files. So we're not going to get into nitty gritty on how to actually modify these just yet. That'll probably be a video too. I just wanted to show you that you can actually create a module inside of AppceleratorStudio. The file that we need to use from now on is this xcode project, and you just can't access it from AppceleratorStudio. So we're going to start using the command line, and if you've never done that before, again, you should really kind of familiarize yourself with that. And how you get there is you either go to your apps under utilities and find terminal, or you can hit command space and type in term or terminal. and I'm going to hit the enter key. That brings up the command line. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and navigate change directory into temp. And I have the current one working inside of something called workspace. I'm going to kind of blow this up so everybody can see this. So if I go right now and list this out, you can see here is my original project, Eric Video 1 Studio. And we can go ahead and we can modify the files inside of there. So since I'm here, I'm going to create another Appcelerator module from the command line. And how you do that is you type in appc new. Appc just stands for Appcelerator, and new says I want a new project. So this is the command line interface that Appcelerator provides. And it's kind of nice to go just walk you through a little bit of tutorial. So we want to go ahead and create a titanium module. Again, we're going to create Eric Video 1, but this is now my command line. And my app ID will be com.eric Video 1 command line. All right. And once I do that, it's going to go ahead and you can see it worked a lot faster than it did inside of AppceleratorStudio. So now if I go ahead and list those out, you can see that we have now a new one here. So I'm going to go ahead and change directory into that guy. And I'm just going to go ahead and open them into a browser window so you can kind of see we have exactly the same format as we have over here, except that we also have an Android folder. So what's nice about the command line, it will build a module based upon not just iOS, but also for Android and mobile web. So if you want to, you could just delete this, move it to the trash. But for right now, I'm going to keep it. So I'm going to close this back down, and where all the goodness starts to happen is inside of the iPhone folder. And let's go ahead here. And really, what we need to do to start developing for iOS is we need to open up this xcode project. This guy right here. We need to open that guy up. So if you had that in the terminal window, you can just type in open and Eric, boom. And when I do that, the module opens up in xcode. And xcode is where we're going to do the primary of our work when developing this module. So we have our classes here. These are the classes we're going to go ahead and modify and add to. We have additional sources. We have the titanium xconfig, which tells, there we go, which tells exactly where our libraries live and how to compile this thing. And you have other things like frameworks, which we'll get into, and the products is basically what happens when I hit the build key. So with that, I think that's a great stopping point. Again, we just kind of open this back up using a terminal, or actually a Finder window. So I'm going to open this guy up. And what you can do here is you can do the same thing. You can just take this guy, double click on him, and it'll open up exactly the same preview that we just had. What you can't do is you can't go to AppceleratorStudio and do that because it just looks at you kind of funny. If you double click on this guy, it does open up xcode, but it just shows you a bunch of stuff that makes probably little to no sense to you. So with that, this is video 1 on how to create a module for Appcelerator.